Good.
Okay. Next thing is, City of Alleman Resolution 2025-027. Wait a minute, that's what I just did.
Yes.
Yeah, now we're into the work session.
We're into the work session down here, and that is the resolution 20.
No, just,
No more
no
resolutions,
more
Bob.
resolutions, just talk about wages.
Okay.
That's the example of last year.
Okay. I will start this off with my recommendation to the council. I work directly with the city clerk and the public works director every day. Sometimes 2 phone calls a day, could be 7 days a week, 5 days a week, and I am thankful that the city of Alleman has these 2 individuals that keep us running and out of trouble. As you can see, it's very, very complicated with the city business with the state and complying with all of these rules and regulations. And then also we have a lot of work that Logan does. And I know I don't have a figure, but I know that Logan saves. I mean, if we had to send everything out to get fixed, it would cost the city a ton of money. And so I've worked with them, and I would thereby make a recommendation to the council that each of these individuals get a 3% raise, and I'll put that on the table. And from that point, it's up to you, 5 individuals, to come up with a resolution or put something on the table to vote on. But I want you to discuss this recommendation.
Make the resolution, we're almost there. Guys, got any thoughts about this?
What were you about to say? You said.
I make it wherever to talk about this, make a resolution to talk about this.
A motion.
A motion, that's
It's a work
it.
We don't need a motion.
It's a work session.
Well, your first discussion.
Yes.
Just your opinions, your opinions, and then, we'll kind of give we don't give a vote, we just kind of like, this is the way you want us to proceed.
We have to agree to something to be able to vote on something. That was the whole point of doing this again, is because we had nothing to vote on. So that's why we had this,
That's why I
do this.
put it out.
You put something forward.
And now, it's you guys the council is the vehicle to decide this. So,
And we have to put it on the next.
and then we'll
because
put that on the next.
Actually vote on
So,
that we want to decide.
You're offering 5%?
3%.
3%?
3%.
All right, so 3% represents 78 cents to Logan, it represents 90 cents to Sherry, and 39 cents to Garrett. To be perfectly honest with you, I think that might be a little low. When you're typical in the private sector, you look between 4 to 6% merit-based. So 3% to me seems like it might be a little low, but that's my initial reaction to the request for 3%.
Thank you.
What do you think,
Scotty?
If it's low, what do you think, is 5% a good number? Is 10% a good number?
Well, again, as we discussed the first time, in the first work session, that we should have some sort of merit means test, and that should be, outlined as to there is from 0 to 5% available for a merit-based raise, and then somehow we, through the outline, can determine how much of the criteria has been met for the full, or if you're talking a 5% raise, a 4% raise, a 3% raise, based solely on a merit system. Something that's testable somehow, some sort of boxes to check. Because, again, we don't spend a lot of time working directly with the city employees. I spend a lot of time on the phone with Logan. Occasionally we'll chat with Sherry, but that's it. You know, so yes, I do believe that 3% as a matter of course is a little low, based on just solely because it's 2025 and 90 cents doesn't buy you anything at all. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Scott?
Still contemplating.
Amanda?
So I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I say 7.5% across the board. And I'm saying that because I think that we should approve something when we can, not right now. And then we really need to sit down as a group and make that schedule of, 1 through 5 or whatever. But I'm saying 7.5 right now because cost of insurance, right? So they pay their own insurance, they get a lump sum. Cost of living has gone up for all of us. Like he said, I don't believe 3% is enough. They both do great things, I believe, for our community and save us money all around. And they're obviously improving themselves. And by those papers that we looked at last time, to me, I don't know if you have like an exceed expectation or an expectation and love that the corporate world has. I think they would go on the number 5 end. So that is why I say 7.5.
Okay. Perry?
The council has a chance to do a great unjust that happened last year when they granted a $3 an hour raise. We had, what's that, $4? Well, whatever. That both employees received the same pay raise to get them back to a square where they came. They both came here and basically took a pay cut. We had an unlawful meeting, an unlawful vote. We had the mayor sitting up there snapping the paper, telling us how if Sherry doesn't get a $6 more dollar raise, he was gonna resign, forcing the council to make on the cuff decisions so we didn't lose the whole city hall. I think pay both of them the same. Next year we'll make it all with the 5-point deal and get back to square one. That was totally unprocedural. It was, I've never seen nothing like that before. I'm still disgusted about the whole situation. And that's my thoughts on it.
Lauren?
Can I ask Perry a question, just so I can get clarity on Perry's point, regardless of all the unlawful stuff, which I agree with? So you're saying if we pay them both X number of dollars per hour, if that's $30 an hour, they both get that, if that's $32 an hour, they both get that?
Because like Amanda said, they're both doing tremendous job. They're at the 5 level. Pay them the same, get away from the discontent and everything and get people to work together, which I'm pretty sure everybody is, but that was just wrong. That whole thing, one person got a $3 an hour raise, one person got a $9 an hour raise, or whatever it was. Yeah, and that was very wrong. That's the best way I can put it without being too verbal.
Lauren?
I was saying 7.5%, 8%. So basically on that line, I think they contribute to the city quite well. They both awesome job, Sherry does. One way I'd like to see Logan maybe get a $4.5, $5 an hour raise, because if he's going through his classes and doing this other stuff. So.
Okay, so we have on the table,
My turn.
I'm sorry.
Sorry I went out of order. I was pretty vocal last time, so I wanted to hear what everybody else was saying. I agree with what everything is said. These two individuals are a phenomenal asset to this community. I also believe that because of what we ask one of them to do out in the weather, at night, on call, I believe that deserves not a lot more, but maybe $1 or $1.50 an hour more per hour. I like Perry's thought process of let's just make them the same, whatever that number is. But I think because of what we ask one of them to do, basically on call, out in the elements, fixing things. It's not because that person is more important. I just believe the skill set of that person is different than the skill set. Again, both important to the community. So I think 7.5% is way too much of a baseline for anything. I think that's pretty over and above. I can get on board with that 3.5 to 5% as a base, but I also believe that because of what I would recommend, I believe that it would be more than that 3.5 to 5% I want to get them fair. That didn't make much sense. What I just said. Ignore my statement about the 3.5 to 7.5%. Ignore that statement.
Okay.
I believe we first have to base it off of my comment. My notion is because of the skill sets of one, it requires a little bit more of pay than the other. So that was where that $1.50 comes from. So so now you go back. So if we do the 3.5% or the 7.5% on the $30 an hour, so whatever, that would probably compute to 15 or 20% for the other one, mathematically speaking. But that's my. Is it? Am I clear? Am I making myself clear?
So it sounded like you want to bring them up like Perry did. And then give
So you want to be in the category of the same as Perry?
I would be in the, let's use this, so let's say
We're trying to just do the percent.
okay, so let's say let's say we leave the one at, let's say we go $1 an hour raise, that's whatever percentage that is, that's $31. I believe the other one needs to be 32 or 32.50 is my statement. Okay. Take away the percentages, just ignore percentages from my perspective.
I followed along perfectly.
So I apologize if I confused anything by the percentages.
Am I the only one that feels uncomfortable talking about this with the people who are in question?
I've never done that's never been done in the past.
It doesn't
In
feel
the
right.
city hall.
It just doesn't feel right.
Well, we're recording it, so they can go back and look at it. It's on television, that kind of went out the door. So, otherwise, yeah. I'm trying to.
Did you understand what I was saying? Absolutely. Did you understand what I was saying? Perry, did you understand what I was saying?
Bring everybody up to the base wage of $30 an hour and then give a percent wage,
Take away the percentage.
take away that. But one
For
needs,
this year, but moving forward, there would be.
Moving, however we want to do it.
yeah, next year,
I think this.
Yeah. yeah.
So Logan is at $26.10 per hour, and she's at $24.60.
Okay. So
I'm looking at the wrong number, I'm sorry. She's at 30 and 26.10. And
here's my statement. Sherry, 31, Logan, 32.50. That's where I'm at.
so 32.50.
That's a little bit more than the.
I understand 100% about the hazard pay type situation that you're attempting to do, and I'm all on board with it. My question is, and this is strictly because I don't know, but traditionally, does the city engineer make as much more or less than a city clerk?
Whatever
title, whatever that title was.
Public Works Director, Slater, they make the same.
Treat the same as they want. Are they an equal pay position? I don't know.
But the ones that generally have a 7 years behind a city administrator, or they have a degree, a 4-year degree from a college in city administration.
Well, that's a completely separate argument. No, it's a valid argument,
No, that's what
but
the
it's a
city,
separate argument.
well,
I'm
yeah,
just curious in the numbers traditionally from one city to the next, are those positions a somewhat equal position?
most people don't get a position as a city administrator unless they have a 7 years worth of.
Again, a valid point, not an argument that
Yeah, yeah.
that's separate from what
But
I'm
you're
asking.
trying to apple and orange, not apple and apple.
I'm going out to other cities
Yeah,
and
They
asking if those two positions are considered an equal paying position.
if they have the education.
All things being equal. That's what I'm asking. If all things are equal, are those considered equal pay positions? Is it
No.
typical for a city administrator to make 100 grand where the city engineer makes 95 or 110?
Okay,
What I'm aware of, it's typically different, they're not on the same level. Because the education also is different, it's 7 years, I get that, but then also your public works director typically has more certifications and other things. They're different.
okay,
Whether, I get that, but they're different.
But
They're
again,
different.
we're treating it as though they were both hired on the same day.
Yeah, they were,
Pretty close.
but they were hired for different jobs.
Yeah, yeah, different jobs, yeah.
okay. The 5, you need to come up with a figure.
I'm thinking Logan at 32.50 an hour and Sherry at 32.50 an hour. 33 and 32. Just like separation.
It does solve a little bit.
So in the, I don't know, it's not corporate, but it's a business world. If people get a mid-year raise, they typically don't get as big of a raise, maybe, at the end of the year, unless there's a lot of merit.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I'd be on board with what you just said, but I wonder if giving Sherry that much again already, 6 months after she just got one hell of a raise, heck of a raise, pardon me.
We'll do
I
what,
think,
31.50?
Now, let's hone in here on the dollar amount.
Okay, so, well then let's look at it as kind of a separate but equal, or separate but same issue, you know, because the coin has two sides. What you're saying is that because Sherry got a raise less than a budget year ago, that giving her a a giant raise wouldn't normally be warranted under certain circumstances, but you also want to make sure that we bring the pay of the other city employee up to an equal plus situation. So I guess what I would think of was we could look at it like, let's undo the injustice that happened 6 months ago, but not punish Sherry.
I'm not saying we should.
No.
Absolutely not.
But, so, maybe we look at their, I don't suppose we can, because of the budget year, we can't look at them on 6 months, Logan's in January and Sherry's in July. We have to look at them both at the same time. But for now, we go with what would normally be 3 to 7.5% for Sherry, but give Logan his big bump to bring him up to where you want him to be. And then from there on, moving forward, then we start with some sort of scheduled percentage.
So you said it more wording than I did, so that's probably where I got my $31 and $32.50, because it was 3.5% of $30 is 90 some odd cents, so I was rounding $2.
Gotcha, all right, gotcha. All right, So I followed your sentiment.
What you just said is probably exactly how I did it in my brain, with way less words.
Okay.
Fair, you know what I'm saying?
You know, I've never been one to be wordy.
So what I'm hearing here is you want to bring Logan up to, 3250, and you want to bring, Sherry at 3250.
31.
31?
That was my input.
All right.
It still gives her a good raise.
Yep.
You know, after she got a good raise a few months ago already.
Did
It's not
Logan get a raise when Sherry got that $30?
the second time? Nope.
So, do we need to really give Sherry a raise at this point and wait till fiscal year? Second.
Well, so I think
This
this
is
is.
this is the fiscal year.
This is.
I'll make things complicated.
So, what I think
That was my
everybody's,
comment last week.
what I think that you guys are losing sight of, this is dumb, that we just keep going over and over the same thing, we're beating the dead horse. But you have to understand, we cannot run this city without a city clerk. You can run this city without a public works director, period.
Disagree. I still think there's.
You by law cannot run this city without a city clerk.
That's right.
You can run this city without a public works director.
Yeah.
So,
I'll recant my disagree.
So, and,
As a practical matter.
right, I mean, if you have to, if we have to, if dire straits come, Alleman can run without a public works director, period, if that comes. I love them both and they do awesome jobs, but they do completely different jobs. I would think that we were doing the citizens of Alleman and unjust if we're putting them on equal levels, because they're not. They're not. Like, if you have an engineering degree, you're not going to, anyway, that's my opinion.
Let's go 3150 for Sherry, 3250 or 3350 for Logan. I like 3350 myself. It's a little pricey.
We also have to be cognizant, I think there was a big concern with how much we paid our past employees, that they were starting to get an exorbitantly amount of money, and that's kind of why exorbitant is probably not the right word to use there, so I apologize for that. That was a big concern, that we were paying them too much, or one of them too much at that point, you know.
It was a third of our budget.
I'm just saying, you know, and I don't remember what
When
that
Rick
dollar
was-
amount an
it was
hour was.
100,000, we only had $300,000 coming in.
But we just have to be cognizant of that, to not get too, yes, we have money in our funds, yes, we have this, yes, we have that. So,
I guess my only follow-up comment, I don't like pitting one or the other.
we've already done it, Bob, we've already
Yeah.
done it.
You've done it.
Yeah. You've already done it.
All right. Okay, we're at 3250 for Logan, $31 for Sherry. Everybody okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Scotty?
Well, I am, but I think we're just kicking a can down the road a little bit, or, you know, postponing a battle is all we're doing, I think.
What do you see the battle as?
Well-
Postponing? Just help, I'm just trying to, I'm not questioning, I'm just trying to understand the thought process of that.
I'm not sure how to explain where I'm coming from exactly. Sherry is still in here? Okay, so what we did, to Perry's point, when we gave Sherry a big raise mid-year and Logan a small raise, no matter how they are faced with, you know, talking to you about it, human nature says there's gonna be some resentment there, right? And now we're going.
Because they were so close before.
Right, and now we're gonna leapfrog one way past the other. Now, granted, it's only been 6 months since Sherry got her raise.
but we're sitting here talking about a potential raise. So human nature is probably gonna say in her brain that she's expecting a raise. If she gets a little tiny one, and Logan gets a big one and leapfrogs past her, then 6 months from now, I think we're gonna be having the same fight again. The bringing them to a level, you make an extremely valid point that they are not the same job and they are not the same people. But we also only have the
Two employees.
That's it, that's all we have. We don't have departments with department heads that have direct reports. We don't have a large tree of people all hired at different times making different amounts of money. What we have is a potential for resentment. And I think we created that 6 months ago. And I really would like to see that go away.
Keep in mind, Sherry got a $6 an hour raise in July, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Keep in mind, if we put him up to 32, whatever, that's a $5, $6 raise an hour, it's equal raise. You know what I'm saying? Or pretty close to the same.
Yeah.
You got the raises the same. That's pretty good incomes on one pay increase.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Okay, see, that's why I'm saying if we go to 33.50 to 31.50, he gets his $6 an hour, she gets $1.25 an hour, $1.50 an hour. Or you want to adjust it one way or another.
It is coming from a corporate world versus the public arena. It's difficult for me to sit here and have to explain to people why their raises are different. Because in the private sector, you don't know what I make, I don't know what you make, you don't know what he makes, you don't know what she makes. But here, everybody knows what everybody makes. So it's all public record, and it can be, I'm not saying that it is, it can be a source of resentment and pride or embarrassment or something for the people involved. And it's for me, it feels very difficult to not treat them equally when there's only just the two.
So you're saying 31?
So if you say 31 or 31 bucks an hour for both.
For now.
And then do the 5-step.
And then figure out a way to
figure out-
space it moving forward. That way Sherry gets a little something, Logan gets a big fat raise, neither one of them
Well,
walks
he
out
gets
of here
an
going.
equal, we're equaling things out,
Right.
is what we're doing.
Right,
We're making things right.
right, and then nobody walks out of here with any kind of reason for resentment. That's my 2 cents. I don't want either of those two to resent the other for any reason based on pay. They can resent each other for their shoe styles or whatever it is they choose because they're human beings. But I don't want to cause their resentment.
You're at 31? Are you at 31?
I would be on board with that.
Amanda, are you at 31?
No, I said Micah, so you're not gonna get a yay from me.
Well,
I'm
yeah, what do you?
It's not a voting thing.
No, but it's something
It's
that,
something
I hold you to what you're
Yeah.
agreeing here.
Yeah,
Yes,
if you're with that.
I'm looking at 31 and 33.
well, I mean 30, oh,
33 for Logan, 31 for
Sherry should be making
Okay.
more than Logan.
for simplicity.
32.
Making more than Jerry.
So I guess it's up
31.
to you guys to convince.
Okay, I have tentatively identified 31, 34 to 31. So that will be up for a vote at the next meeting.
Lauren and Amanda both would like to see one at a slightly higher than the other,
Yeah.
but each one of them want the other person to be the one slightly higher than the other. I would be open to, and I would like to hear why they both believe that. And
So I believe that too.
Well, you'll be.
But I'd be okay to be all in agreement with being the same. I believe
And then
that.
figure something out next year
At our next meeting.
in a process.
There'll be a motion, a second, and we'll have discussion, and that's where we would address that. Talk, but for budget situation and moving the city on, I just need to know.
You need a hard number to work with to give to
Yeah,
the account. Yeah.
To plug in our.
To my point, they're both gonna see that hard number. If that number changes at the next meeting to the negative, that hurts.
Yeah.
They're people. Yeah, they're people. And it's always a touchy situation. And the reason I throw out the 3% is, Polk County and other city governments. You can't compare them to the real life. It should be city government to city government. It works a lot.
I
it's a
agree,
lot less
I agree, because
messy.
it's city council in Ankeny gets about $45,000 a year. So I agree, let's make that happen.
Let's just leave it. Within reason, but that's where we should be, because they would be the ones that poach you to come to their work.
And nobody here wants to see that
And
happen.
that's what I worry about the most. That's what I worried about 6 months ago. Is somebody's poaching us, and it happens in the real world all the time. And then where are we left?
So what are you putting on?
We're gonna put $31. We're gonna come out, I've got a consensus of $31, you, and you. And so that's what I'm gonna go with, and then Amanda's not there, and
No,
Lauren's not there. So I will, we'll just try to go with that, is that all right?
And then next year we can, during the year, we need to approach this so that we can get information to a performance as you want it, or anybody that has anything they want to input on this can bring it to a work session, and this way we're not caught a month before we gotta make the deal.
Yeah, and that's what we'll work with. I guess we really can't talk about anything else. And this is not, we don't have to close the meeting, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna say adios. We'll see you.
What are we gonna do for Garrett?
For Garrett,
What does Garrett do exactly? These are,
They get $40 an hour to program computers, I'll just tell you that. I just had a friend, his wife got a part-time job
yeah, so
inputting computer stuff, part-time, $40 an hour, because they can't find people.
so put them up to 1350.
I'm just telling you what they get.
Seriously, we gotta have that on there too.
Yeah, what's your
yeah,
name?
I would kind of maybe.
Bacon